Lovermine opens with Hex, who is John's mate, in the hands of his enemy. And it picks up immediately after Lover Avenged. And so Hex is in lashes. He's imprisoned her. And the story is about how she gets out and how John Matthew and her come to terms with their love and revenge, which is, one of my favorite subjects. John Matthew's role in the Brotherhood is he was the eyes through which we all saw the world when the series started, because he's Darius, and Darius dies in the first part of the very first book, and he is reborn in the character of John Matthew, who is a pre-trans and has to grow up over the course of 6 or 7 books until he is not just a 22-year-old pre-trans, but he turns into a vampire warrior himself. And it was a very emotional book to write for me, because I feel like we've watched him through all of the stages of his life in a way, because we've tracked him through so many books, and then all of a sudden he turns out to be this great savior and a warrior and a lover and a fighter, and it's a wonderful book. It really is. It was a pleasure for me to write, at least. When it came time to do John Matthew's book, I was actually nervous, because he, like Zadist and Torment, is one of a lot of readers really care about him. And I thought to myself, how is this story going to ring authentic for them? Because we've all watched him grow up, and we know what happened in the beginning with Darius dying, and, the secret, does it ever get out to the brothers? Does he find out he's Darius? Do they find out he's Darius? And resolving those questions in the way that was authentic to the world and with what the pictures in my head, I was concerned, because there's a lot of people with a lot of vested emotion in him. I think readers just care about John Matthew because he's eminently heroic. He's mute, so he has a vulnerability that's very obvious, but he's also powerful. And the juxtaposition between the two of those is very attractive. And I also think that his relationship with Hex is just great. It's got a lot of hard edges and a lot of hard history, and the way they resolve it and come together is just really fun to watch. I think what was great about Hex is that as you watch her opening up to John Matthew, you see the other side to the power and the assassin and the fighting and the sympath side to her. You see, the warmth and the loyalty and the she's deadly in a very graceful way. When the Black Dagger Brotherhood started out, it was vampires only. And then revenge appeared on scene. And I knew immediately when he walked on that, aside from the fact that he was a pimp and a drug dealer and a bar owner, and he had a limp, and he wore this amazing fur duster all the time, that something was up with him. And I knew immediately that there was some sort of something, there was a subspecies there. And that was when the sympaths kind of came into my head. And I had always said that I would never do werewolves or, witches or any of that kind of stuff, just because, I'm a vampire girl at heart and, all that stuff. But you can't, when a character walks on scene for me, you have to kind of go with it. So we now have Lasseter the Fallen Angel, and there is another character that has come through in the books that has a little surprise in his past. And so I think it is safe to say that we will be, there's some possibility we may have to stock up on some dog biscuits in the world. The way we stand now is we've got the old school. We've got, the original brothers that started the series. And we've got these new trainees that are coming up. John Matthew, Blaylock, Quinn. And I think the two sides are united in the war. It's almost like no one has time to figure out how that's all going to mesh together, because they're fighting. And I think that that's kind of cool, actually, because it gives the younger generation an opportunity to perform to their strengths without some arbitrary, you must prove yourself. You know, it's kind of like, you know, the house is on fire, everyone grab a bucket and throw it, you know. But what's going to happen in future books is you're going to see the next generation of trainees come up behind John Matthew Quinn and Blaylock. So that, because right now the training program has been suspended, but there are going to be, you know, probably 3 or 4 young men that are going to start up again. One of which is from a Brotherhood line. Originally, when I started to write them, I saw 10 stories right from the beginning, and they're the original brothers. They're, you know, the original brothers plus Pain and Revenge and a couple of other folks. But what's happened over the course of the series is that more and more people have come forward. So the way I look at it is whether or not I write the stories, the world just keeps going. So as long as people want to read the books and the good Lord keeps me breathing, I'd like to continue to write them. So right now, I don't see it ending.